Happy Sunday, everyone. Nick Marro here with DFS Jayhawk. We got Nicky Knight, Nick Squared, filling in on a Sunday night. Happy to be part of the weekend show, but we got an early slate locking at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Seven games on both sites, so they're aligned for once, which I like. Nice condensed slate and a lot of injury news. Jayhawk, how you feeling about this one going in?
Yeah, super interesting Sunday slate here. Lots of news, or I guess not a ton, but a bunch of news to cover, and I think a bunch of great tournament plays. So excited to break this one down.
Yeah, right there with you, man. We got Heath, HB, Luke, DFS buddy. We got a nice gang in here, as always, guys. Appreciate you tuning in on a Sunday. I know some of us are tilting or sweating NFL. No better way to kind of get that taste out of your mouth than some NBA. But let's get into the game by game here. We got a lot to talk about. Starting in the 6 o'clock window, and we did have an earlier game go off today. First game on the slate, according to the NBA injury report, we got my Nets here taking on the Raptors. Nets coming off a nice upset of the Boston Celtics for the NBA Cup. That was kind of ridiculous. But tonight they will have no Haywood Highsmith. Cam Thomas still out. Danny Wolf still with the G League. Really no significant injury news here. Agor, the rookie, he's dealing with some like facial stuff, like a jaw injury. I don't think it's super significant. Actually, drawing some ownership. He's been playing really well as the starter. I don't know that he's going to be playing extended minutes anytime soon, but it was good to see him get up to 29 against Boston. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. has been a beast on this team. Crazy usage. The price has come up on him, but he's producing at a very high level. He's someone else I'd be comfortable getting to. And then Claxton, obviously. There's a lot of good centers on the slate, especially cheap, which should drive this ownership down a little bit. Right now, we have him around 25% owned on both sides, but he's been a monster lately. Passing ball, obviously crashing the boards. A good matchup here, too, with Podol out for Toronto. Those are the three. I guess you can mix in maybe a little bit of Clowney. I don't know that it's necessary on a slate like this where we have a lot of value. Jayhawk, how you feeling about my Nets here? I think they surprised a lot of people against Boston the other day.
Yeah, man, they really did. Boston were like 13-point favorites that game, so crazy, crazy night. But yeah, starting with Nick Claxton here, I think he looks great at his price. You mentioned no Pirtle tonight for Toronto. I think Claxton should be able to capitalize on that. Love him both sides here. One of my favorite center plays. And then I think MPJ, AK flat, love mixing him in tournaments as well. The only other shot that I kind of had down here was Zaire Williams, 7% owned. Model doesn't love him, but I'm mixing in a little bit in tournaments. But other than that, those are the guys I'm getting to.
Yeah, right there with you, man. Yeah, and again, it's always tricky with the Nets. They do run that risk of blowout. They've been playing a little bit better lately, though. DFS buddy saying the Steelers ruined his day. Praying he cashes tonight. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan, and honestly, I didn't even want to win for draft reasons, but pretty fun watching James today. ZH said he never cashes anymore, man. If you're not in the Discord or you don't have access to the tools, as news breaks late, you want to be in there. But yeah, man, ask the questions you want answered. Always happy to help. And yeah, Unicorn, as always, appreciate you being here as well, my man. But let's get over to the Toronto side of things. Jayhawk mentioned it. No Podol. CMB, the rookie, is going to be available, but it sounds like Sandro will be getting the start here. Shout out my buddy Jeff, who is at this game tonight, talking some crap. Not that I'm confident in the Nets, but would love for them to at least be competitive. But a lot to like here. Obviously, the Nets not playing great defense. Sandro in the front court, very cheap. On DK, where you could play two centers at 3,400, I think he makes a lot of sense. Quickly, after a slow start to the season, it's been excellent. His price has come up a little bit, though, so I think he's where he should be. And I can kind of say the same about Barnes, Barrett, even Ingram. Ingram does feel below the others, but I think any of the starters here are somewhat appealing. I don't know that one stands out ahead of the rest, though. Jayhawk, how are you feeling about Toronto?
Yeah, I think Toronto here, Mamu, you mentioned it, probably my favorite play here. 3,400, way too cheap on DK, very high DK value. So love Mamu. And then after him, I think, all the studs, Barrett, Scotty, and quickly, I think they're all fine to mix in. My preferred play would be Scotty in this spot at 8,300, but I'd be fine mixing in all three of them personally. How about you?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Obviously, Scotty has the ceiling here, but I think point per dollar Barrett might be the best on the slate. And again, that's because they raised the price on quickly. Well, I've been playing a ton of, and it's been working out. But Sandro, kind of the no-brainer on DK. The only reason it's not anymore is that we did get some other value at center, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But Sandro looks great there. No one's playing him on FanDuel. I think at 4,600, it's a little bit tougher for him to get there, knowing that he's probably capped around 24 minutes. But if you're playing a ton of lineups, I think you could do worse than maybe mixing him in. Let's go ahead and get right into the next game here, guys. Obviously, keep the questions coming in. We got the Charlotte Hornets taking on the Atlanta Hawks. This game with a 228.5 point total, a little bit lower than expected. Part of that is that there's going to be no LaMelo Ball, and they are slight favorites at home. And I mentioned Ball's going to be out, joined by Pat Connaughton, Josh Green, Trey Mann is available. No Brandon Miller, who did look pretty good the other night. Then Ryan Kalkbrenner, late addition to the injury report, he is no longer in or available, which means Musa Diabate going to be getting the start here at center. We're seeing tons of ownership going to him now, especially on DK, on FanDuel, kind of similarly to the Sandro situation. He's priced up. You can only play one center, but two of the best value plays on the slate on DK are at center now, Diabate being one of them. Good matchup for them here as well. With no LaMelo, Colin Sexton is probably going to get the start at point guard next to Sion James, Con Canuple, who I've been playing all season. Obviously better when there's no LaMelo taking up usage from him. He looks good here. I like his price. I think he should be a little bit more popular than he is, sub 20% owns. And then Miles Bridges does tend to get overlooked, but his ceiling is probably as high as anyone on this team right now. So for me, I'm going to get to a ton of Diabate on DK, which is where most of my volume is tonight. I'll mix in some Sexton. I think he is too cheap. But Canuple, to me, I would rather be getting to if I could find the salary for him. Those three definitely stand out. Fine mixing in some Bridges, but yeah, a lot to like here from Charlotte. Jayhawk, how are you kind of prioritizing these guys?
Yeah, great breakdown there. You mentioned it, Diabate, probably the top play here, point per dollar. No Kalkbrenner, should play a bunch of minutes here. So yeah, love Diabate both sides. I have him as the top value play pretty clearly on this slate. And then Colin Sexton is number two for me personally. Just 5,200 just seems too cheap. I know the matchup isn't fantastic and the total is like mid pack, but it's just too cheap for Sexton's upside in my opinion. So love Sexton in tournaments, and then yeah, love the Canuple shot as well. I believe Trey Mann, he might be. I don't know if he's questionable, but if he sits as well, more shots for Canuple as well. So love all three of those guys: Diabate, Sexton, and Canuple.
Yeah, I mean Trey is available coming off the
He
bench, though.
is
I
okay.
don't think it should cut into them too much, because again, not only is Lamelo out, but also Brandon Miller, so that's a bit of a boost. On the Atlanta side of things, Luke Kennard's out, Okongwu's back and he is available, but no Kristaps or Trae Young. So it's kind of funny now that KP's back in, Okongwu's out. I think Jalen Johnson obviously stands out as one of the better plays on the entire slate here, actually ranking third behind just Luca and SGA in terms of overall OF index score. If I can fit him into lineups, I will say he is, I think, my favorite pay up on both sides tonight. Obviously, Luca's Luca, but point per dollar, I do like what he affords. Alexander Walker, a bit scoring dependent, but his price hasn't come up as much as it should, in my opinion. I'm fine getting to him, even on DK where the price is up on him. I think 7% owned on a slate like this is too low. Okongwu definitely looks better on FanDuel for two reasons. One being the price, 700 cheaper. Two being he has forward eligibility. We're already using up those center spots for a lot of value, so he's tough to get to on DK. But on FanDuel, certainly a core play over there where he is near 40% owned. Fine mixing in guys like Daniels versus Shea. Krejci is essentially a coin flip. He'll either do great or do nothing. I prefer to avoid plays like that when we do have better value. So I'm going to have a ton of Jalen Johnson here. I do think Alexander Walker's under owned. I like a Congo more so on FanDuel. Those are the three I'm keying in on, Jayhawk, but there's a lot to like from Atlanta here as well. Which of these Hawks players are you focusing on here?
Yeah, so yeah, obviously you mentioned it. Onyeka Okongwu, very big ownership disparity between the two sides. I agree though. I mean, I think his stock upside is much better on FanDuel. I'd be fine mixing him on DK, but the guy you mentioned I really like here, Jalen Johnson. It seems like every slate I'm playing this guy, he's had a couple of like floor games, but we know his ceiling is super high. And in this spot, I think he can really go off. So yeah, love Jalen Johnson. And then Chuck and I touched on this. I think Nala has just been under-owned the past few slates and good DK value. I'd be totally fine getting back to Nala as well. So pretty much on the same page here.
Yeah, definitely with you guys on that. And shouts out to Chuck, had a takedown last night.
Yes, sir.
He did ask that we shout out. I don't know if we had the username in here. Someone asked him, "Are you playing Kispert or who was it, Cam Whitmore?" And he was like, I wasn't really looking at them, but now they seem decent. He ended up playing them, and it helped him win that tournament. So shouts out to whoever that was. Feel free to reveal yourself in the chat. Chuck appreciates it, and we do too. But good slate from you guys yesterday. Definitely love to see these screenshots in the Discord, especially someone like Chuck who's always grinding. But let's keep it going here, guys. I see the questions. I'm going to ask them as we get to these games. And we got a question about Orlando I'll get to in just a minute. But before that, we do have the Clippers here taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So Clipper side of things going to be interesting. Obviously, no Bradley Beal. Bogdanovich is questionable. Kawhi's not even on the injury report. He's back. Derrick Jones Jr. is still out, as is Jordan Miller. But with Kawhi back, it's going to be a little bit tricky. I think Harden is now a bit overpriced. He's been going off, right? But with Kawhi back in the lineup, that's going to cut into his usage. I think Kawhi himself feels a little bit overpriced. Zubac, similar deal. I mean, his usage and his rebounding has to come down slightly with Kawhi on the floor. So there's just not much to like here, in my opinion, Jayhawk. It's a decent total. This game should be competitive, but when you get a guy like Kawhi back in the lineup, until the prices adjust, it's just not a team I find myself really rostering at all. How about you on the Clippers?
Yeah, I agree with you. It seems like everyone here is, pretty much overpriced with Kawhi coming back here. In my initial run, I wasn't getting pretty much anything here. I think if you want to get contrarian, maybe you can go Harden, but yeah, it's just I don't love the spot. And then obviously Zubac gets this front court with Mobley, so I don't love it here. It's just a tough spot.
Yeah, again, it's more pricing than anything. I think a few of these guys will do well, but I don't know that they're going to be optimal. Over on the Cleveland side of things, Max Strus is out. Craig Porter, Sam Merrill, Lonzo Ball, and Jared Allen. So they're actually missing a few key pieces here tonight. Sorting by value, Jalen Tyson not popping towards the top of the model, but he is very popular over on DK, around 30% owned. He's probably going to get the start here. He has been pretty productive. Yeah, pushing 30 fantasy points, three straight games is Jalen Tyson. So I do like him for value. I am a bit concerned the model doesn't like him a little bit more, but that's more of a DK play. He's around 5K on FanDuel. I think he's priced out over there. Mobley probably going to start at center. Obviously, that provides a boost for him. Like him here in a decent matchup. Garland and Mitchell are both available. I do prefer Mitchell of the two, but I don't think I need to be forcing either in. It's mostly the front court for me here, man. Like, obviously, Mitchell has upside. But Tyson on DK, I like as a value play. And then Mobley on both sides, I think is going a bit overlooked. I think people underestimate how big of a boost it is for him when Allen's out. But yeah, I think there's enough to like here from Cleveland. I probably won't get to much Hunter, Nance, any of these secondary guys. But Tyson to me and Mobley are two guys I do think I'll have in a lot of my exposure tonight. How about you?
100%. I love that shout first on Mobley. The rebounding numbers and overall defensive numbers go up when there's no Allen. So yeah, I love that shout there. I think he looks great both sides. But you mentioned it, Jalen Tyson here. I will admit, the last time he was chalk, I was worried about minutes. He ended up playing pretty much his full rotation, so I expect him to be good here for minutes. 30% projected ownership. He is too cheap, I think, still for his upside. So totally fine getting to Tyson over on DK.
Yep, right there with you, man. Absolutely. We got a lot of stuff coming in on this next game. I've been holding off on these questions for a good reason, though. We got Orlando taking on the Boston Celtics. On the Orlando side of things, we just got word that Wendell Carter Jr. is out. And Goga's been playing really well when he is on the floor, so we already have Diabate. We already have Sandro. Now we can add Goga to that mix. So this data has not yet refreshed. Everyone obviously more of a reason to get it behind the paywall. But as it does, we can expect to see Goga as one of the top value plays and top owned plays on the entire slate. He is dirt cheap on both sides, 4,100 on FanDuel, 3,600 over on DK, and better than a fantasy point per minute over the past couple of weeks. So a few extra minutes for him, going to go a really long way here. And Boston's front court defense has definitely taken a step back this season. We did have a question here from Luke, I believe it was. Can we stack three Magic, Black, Bane, Wagner? Against Boston, I'm not crazy about it. But now that we have Goga, I mean, you could go Goga, Black, Bane, or Goga, Bane, Wagner. So, yeah, I think it's okay. Again, it's kind of a limited slate. Boston, not a team that plays very fast. This is one of the lower totals. So, even with Paulo out, it's okay. I just don't know that I love it. Tristan Da Silva is the guy I know we've all been playing and all kind of benefiting from. He had a rough game against the Knicks, but he's been super productive. Nobody ever wants to roster him. Anthony Black is a value guard here with Suggs unavailable. I didn't even read through the whole injury report, but no Carter, no Banchero, no Suggs, no Mo Wagner. Not that that matters, but Anthony Black, one of the better guard values. Again, we have a ton of great center value. Guard value definitely tougher to come by. So Anthony Black does make a lot of sense. Bane's been playing much better. Wagner's fine if you could afford him. But yeah, man, Goga looks great. Silva in tournaments, Black in cash or tournaments, and then obviously Bane Wagner, good plays everywhere. Kind of weird to like this much Orlando against Boston, but here we are. How you feeling?
Yeah, so yeah, you mentioned it. Goga is definitely a smash play now, and then obviously we've seen Boston take a step down, so I'm gonna most likely jam Goga here into my lineups. So love him here both sides with Wendell out, and then the guy I'm really taking a stand on tonight. You briefly touched on him, Franz Wagner, coming off a huge game. I do expect him to have a pretty nice game once again here. So I love getting to Franz here both sides. And then, do you have a preference on Bane versus Wagner? And is there anyone else? I guess down here, do you think Isaac maybe gets a bump, or anyone else you're like want to take a stab at?
I mean, I could never. Isaac could see a couple minutes, but he never gets over 20. So it's
Yeah,
just tough for me to ever want to play him. I do like the Wagner call. I think Bane and him are pretty much the same exact play, though, point per dollar. Like,
yeah,
if you can't afford Wagner, you can land on Bane and feel pretty good about it. I don't know that one really stands out in front of the other in terms of matchup or anything like that. But again, you're getting a bit of a discount on Bane. Obviously, Wagner has the higher ceiling, but it's comparable. So again, I think I wouldn't want both, I will say, but I think if you're landing on one or the other, I don't think you can really go wrong.
yep, I agree.
Um, and then quickly on Boston here, no Tatum. Other than that, nothing really significant. This is about as healthy as this team's been all season. Jordan Walsh projected to start here. We've seen Manoa at times. It has been Walsh lately, though, because he's a pretty good defender. Pritchard, White, Brown. I mean, any of them are viable. At the same time, I don't know that one really stands out ahead of the others. I mean, Keita, the one guy here actually drawing ownership, and we have just too much value at center now. He has been playing great. His minutes are up. And it is not a bad spot here now that Goga's in. But again, I think there's so much value at center. Unless you're playing a bunch of lineups, it's tough for me to want to get to him. But yeah, man, I can make a case for White, Brown, Pritchard, any slate. Today's no exception. But can't sit here and say there's any Celtics that are a priority for me. How about you?
Yeah, typically, I do like going overweight to these guys, but tonight in this spot with all the good plays we have today, I don't love going overweight on anyone here much. I think you mentioned that Keita would be the guy I'd get the most of here. But we mentioned we like Jalen Johnson better than Jalen Brown and a couple other guys at the forward position. So for me, it's just Kate. I'm probably just gonna try to match the field, and the rest of these guys, I just don't love here.
Yep. A couple comments from Power here back on the Toronto game. Watch Darko put Scotty at the 5 and starting Baji at the 3. He could, man. I don't think he will, though, with Claxton and Clowney out there. It's actually a pretty big front court for the Nets. Crazier things have happened, though. We have seen Scotty at the 5, but I'd be a little bit surprised if Sandro doesn't start. And CMB being available, if anything, means that you would start ahead of putting Scotty at the 5. But still, I think Sandro's good for 24 minutes. It just becomes a question now of we have Diabate, we have Sandro, we have Goga. I think I would rank Goga first, then Diabate, then Sandro in that order. All three look pretty damn good to me, though. Jayhawk, how you feeling about those three centers? How would you rank them?
Yeah, I think it's really close between Diabate and Goga, but I'd probably give the bump to Goga as well for the cheaper price point. And then I have no problem with Mamu, but I think he might just get pinched a little bit for me now with these other two centers.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep an eye on ownership. I definitely still want some exposure to him, especially if the field isn't getting there as aggressively. But yeah, if one of those three probably ends up under owned. Question from Greg. We still haven't gotten to the Lakers game yet, but JJ, I assume that's Jalen Johnson or Luca. It's tricky. I think if salary doesn't matter, it has to be Luca, but 9 times out of 10 it does. I like JJ point per dollar tonight better, but it's not by a huge margin, and he will be much more popular. So the bigger the contest, the higher your risk tolerance, Greg. I lean towards Luca, but just playing one lineup like a single entry or something like that, I would go with Jalen Johnson. I hope that answers it. Jayhawk, how do you feel about those two? Obviously, two excellent plays tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned it best. If we're picking just straight up, it'd be Luca, but point per dollar, it's definitely Jalen for me tonight in DFS.
Nice, man. All right, we are through the 6 o'clock games. We got one game at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time between the Portland Trailblazers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder, as is often the case, big favorites here at home, 233.5 point total. Portland's still banged up. No Drew, no Dame, no Scoot. Klingon, questionable. Not that we need more value at center. I'm kind of hoping he plays. Shady on Sharp is out, as is Matisse Steibel, Blake Wesley. And then Klingon's backup, Williams, is still questionable. So we do need some news here. The good thing is this matchup is terrible, right? So even if we find out that Klingon sits and Williams starts, or maybe there's a world where Reith starts, like I would be ranking the Portland center here regardless of who it is behind all the other value we already have. Other than that, I mean, Caleb Love has been a name that people have been trying to get to. He's been kind of hit or miss. I mean, two out of his last three games crushed value. The game in between, he was an absolute dud, and that was the game where he was actually popular. So it's pretty funny. I don't mind mixing him in. City Sissoko, though, is probably going to be the one to get the start. He's also dirt cheap. I think both these guys can play in a blowout. I don't feel heavily inspired to get to either of them, if I'm being completely honest, especially if Love is going to be very popular on DK. But Sissoko and Love worth mentioning. I think even if this game were to get out of hand, they could play 25 plus minutes each. Jeremy Grant, someone who's benefiting with all these guards out, but yeah, man, just not a good matchup. So it's a tough spot to get to. But these very, very cheap guys in Love and Sissoko are kind of interesting. And then obviously Denny's Denny. If there's a world where this game stays close, Denny probably has like a 30 plus point triple double. So you could use him in tournaments. 9K plus, though. I don't know that I can get there. Tricky team here is Portland tonight, Jayhawk. How you feeling about the Blazers?
Yeah, so you put it best. I think the guys I'm targeting here with this big of a spread, definitely the guys that can play through blowout. So Caleb Love, obviously, young player out of North Carolina. I think he looks great. Very, very good value score. Um, High ownership, but I'm pretty confident with him. And then, yeah, you mentioned Klingon is questionable. If he sits, I don't really love Williams because, he's a little bit older and I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. And then City Suzuko, 3,500, 1%. Maybe you can get there. I don't love it, but he's cheap enough where you maybe you get there. And then the other guy I wanted to ask you about is Chris Murray down here, 2% owned. Do you think he gets blowout run, or what's your take here with Chris Murray?
Yeah, it's kind of tricky with him. I actually think they kind of consider him to be a vet, even though it's kind of silly. He's only been in the league a couple of years, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. If I'm ranking these three, I do think Love has the most upside. Sissoko and no ownership, probably the highest floor. But if it's a competitive game, I think it would be Murray. It's just we haven't seen a ceiling from Murray. We have seen it from Love. Sissoko's so cheap that I don't mind kind of using him here. I wouldn't want more than one of these three in a lineup, but I think you can make a case for any of them. Again, I'd rank Love first, then Sissoko, then Murray, though. So if you really want to get to Murray, you're going crazy stars and scrubs, then feel free. But it's probably not someone I play. I'm only playing a handful of lineups tonight.
yeah, that's what I was kind of leaning to. I just wanted to see what your thoughts on him were.
Yeah, no, I mean it's worth talking about because again, it should be a short rotation here, especially if we get a couple more guys ruled out. And as bad of a matchup as it is a high total. Certainly, someone's going to have to play the fourth quarter. Could be Murray. I just don't think that they need to give him those minutes as aggressively as we'll see them for I don't know Love or Sissoko. But
Agreed.
again, I can't sit here and say I feel great about any of them. Over on the OKC side of things, we got Wiggins out, Jalen Williams out, Kenrich Williams out. Nothing else really significant beyond what we come to expect. Topic guys like that out for the year. Um, I don't know, man. SGA has upside. He always has upside. Even if blowouts, he can get there. Personally, not something I'm really prioritizing tonight. If I'm paying all the way up, I'd rather get to Luca. Finding myself in the mid range more often than not, though. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. AJ Mitchell, Isaiah Joe have been decent in blowouts lately. Isaiah Joe, every other game has been going off, so he's due for a dud today. If you want to follow that pattern, probably not the way to go about it. Probably just no OKC for me, if I'm being completely honest. It's a decent spot, but with the blowout potential, everyone kind of priced where they should be. There's just nothing that stands out to me. How about you?
Man, I was gonna shout out Isaiah Joe, but I guess maybe I can't anymore if he's gonna on this trend where he's gonna dud tonight. So, if I mean, I think he's fine here. You mentioned blowout narrative probably is the way it probably goes here tonight. So, 4,400, he'd probably be my favorite play here as like a value flyer. But other than that, like I'd rather get to other studs besides SGA.
Yeah, and if you're looking for forward value, Jalen Williams with the other Jalen Williams, he's someone who would play in blowout runs. So, well, the guard situation is a little bit tricky. Jalen, if you're desperate for value and you don't already have it at center, you can maybe use him as a forward. But again, so much center value. Don't know that it's even necessary. We got the 8 o'clock game here between the Lakers and the Utah Jazz. Bronny is back down with the G League. There's nothing else on the injury report. So the Lakers are here. LeBron is active. He is back. It's still Luca's team, though. I mean, Luca's still going to show crazy upside. LeBron doesn't seem to be really limited. We have him for 33 minutes, but it's not enough to really take me off wanting to play Luca, given the heavy usage. Against Utah, LeBron just 18% usage, 28 against Minnesota, play 40 minutes. But yeah, I don't really need to play LeBron here. We'll start there. Around 9K, there's other plays we like. I think Mobley is one. Jalen Johnson, obviously, we talked about. Luca's good, but again, I think if you're paying all the way up, he makes sense. I think it's a little bit easier to kind of build in the mid range. Those are the only two I really have any interest in. I mean, you can make a case for Reeves, but with LeBron and Luca in at 8K, I just can't do it. But yeah, man, probably just Luca here, if I'm being completely honest. Is there any Lakers for you?
Yeah, I agree. It's mainly just Luca here, insane price points, but if you really look at the matchup here, very, very good matchup for Luca. So totally fine getting up there. I'm probably gonna try to get around 20% Luca in this spot. So yeah, I love Luca, and then the rest of the team here, I just don't love point per dollar. So yeah, mainly Luca for me.
Yeah, it is an insanely good matchup, so keep that in mind. But again, they're all kind of priced where they should be. Luca looks good. I don't think I want to get to 8, and with all the center value we have. On the Utah side of things, Walker Kessler out for a while, obviously. Nothing else here too significant. Nurkic at his price is okay. Again, just too much value at center for me to want to go there. Laurie Marketing, the price is up, but he has been a beast. I do think he has some upside here if you want to land on him at pretty low ownership. Better on FanDuel where he's only 8,300, but that's keeping his ownership way down over on DK. Keontae George, okay. I don't think I can get there. Ace Bailey as the starter. I do think he has scoring upside, but again, just another team where everyone feels kind of priced where they should be. Not a lot of injuries, so not a lot of value being created. Um, I don't know. Again, with such a high total, I feel like I should be getting more this game. I'm just not. Jayhawk, how about you and these Utah Jazz?
Yeah, so just looking at the price points for all these guys here, I think a lot of these guys are better FanDuel plays. Markkanen's better, I think, on FanDuel 8,300. He's in a very good spot. I do like Markkanen at that ownership on FanDuel. And then Keontae George had a very good outing against them last game as well. So I'd be fine mixing both those guys in over on FanDuel. On DK, I'm not getting much of Utah here, even in this high total.
Yep, I think that makes sense. Taking a quick look at chat here. And we got Williams as Q2. Doug saying Clowney's a good cheap play today. Yeah, if you need it, Doug, again, forward a little bit thinner for value than some of the other positions. Conley has been really impressive. If that game stays close, I'm fine with it. But at the same time, I mean, if you're looking at game logs, you see what he did against Boston. I do think that's a bit of an outlier 37 minutes, 32 fantasy points. I don't know how sustainable that is. He had 3 blocks and a steal. So it's like a last piece in. I think he's good. I'm a fan of the kid. I think he's talented. But next to Claxton, that does tend to cut to his upside a little bit. But let's move right along here. Still in that 8 o'clock window, we got the Spurs, Suns, Wemby taking on the Suns. And on the Spurs side of thing, I already mentioned it. No Wembayana, obviously. Wembanyama. He's been out for so long, I'm starting to forget how to say his name. Harper, Castle are going to be out here as well. No Jordan McLaughlin. That's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, I think when we first learned that Wemby would be out, we thought Cornette was going to be a thing. He's probably going to start here, but he is like way down the list for me as far as centers go. Fox has upside here. Devin Vassell does as well. Again, no Stephon Castle either. Fox at his price, it's going to keep the ownership down. I do think there's other guards I prefer over him, but he is a solid tournament play, just knowing what he's capable of. Shouts out to Chuck again. I mean, he was all over Keldon Johnson the other night. He had a huge game against Atlanta, back-to-back games over 30 minutes. When Pop was there, he was kind of limiting Johnson off the bench. It seems like with the new coaching regime in house, even if Pop's in their ear, Keldon's getting more extended run with Wemby out, which is obviously great to see. I trust him over guys like Barnes and Champagne, Sochan as well. I mean, I like Keldon, probably the one spur I'm getting to with or even over the field here. I do want to get to some Fox if I can, though, and obviously Devin Vassell has upside. Spurs, decent spot for them. Again, Keldon, probably the guy. Borderline core play for me tonight, which kind of feels gross, but it is what it is. Jayhawk, how do you feel about the Spurs?
Yep, right with you here. Keldon Johnson, pretty clearly my top player from San Antonio, point per dollar. I think Fox is fine as like a pivot off of Luca or some of these other guys up top as a tournament play. And then, man, yeah, Devin Vassell, I've not gotten right. He's been very poor compared to what he usually is with that 1B. So, yeah, I'm kind of just off him, flocking to Keldon at the price, and that's about it here.
Yeah, it's kind of insane that Vassell isn't seeing higher usage. 15%, 16% the 2 games prior, and good matchups too against Atlanta and Memphis. So you could get to him. I just would rather play Fox. I'd rather play Kelvin. They've been more consistent. Over on the Phoenix side of things, a few pieces missing. No Grayson Allen. Ryan Dunn is questionable. Still no Jalen Green. Colin Gillespie trying crazy ownership here. He's going to be coming off the bench, but 3 straight games now where he's pushing or over 35 fantasy points, 3 straight games over. He's been excellent, and he's doing it all. I mean, seeing heavy usage with that second unit. He's getting stocks. He's crashing the boards. I mean, really, really solid play here. Again, very popular, sub 6K on both sites. Does have shooting guard eligibility on DK, which makes it easy to get to him. I like Gillespie a lot, but I will say Dylan Brooks in tournaments does make sense as a pivot, as he often does. People don't really want to play him, but he's taking as many shots as anyone on this team. And again, with Grayson Allen out, you could feel a little bit better about his minutes and his usage. So Gillespie looks good to me. In lineups without him, I do like Brooks as a pivot. And then Devin Booker, you can kind of throw into that group of expensive guards with upside here. I do think he's appealing enough that I probably land on some. So I like Gillespie. I like Brooks. Fine with some Booker. Those are the 3 that stand out to me, Jayhawk. How about you for Phoenix?
Yeah, man, you mentioned that Gillespie has been fantastic. And he did check in the game, I think last game when Booker fouled out, but even before that, he's been awesome. So I love Gillespie here, both sides. In terms of Booker, I think this is definitely a better spot for him in terms of matchups. So fine getting to Booker. I think I'd rather get to obviously the guys we mentioned up top, but fine mixing him in. And then from the rest of Phoenix here, not much I love. So it's mainly just getting Gillespie here.
Yeah, I will mention Jordan Goodwin. He played 29 minutes against Minnesota. Prior to that, we were kind of projecting him every day around 21, 22. We have him for 25 here. To know that he's capable of playing a little bit more, it is a good thing. So if you want to use him as low on value in high risk contests, you can. But again, Gillespie, Brooks definitely priorities ahead of him if you have the salary. All right. Is that it? Or wow, okay.
I
Yeah.
believe so,
Usually
yeah.
there's like some late straggler game, but we don't have to deal with that today. I'll go ahead and refresh the model, check the chat real quick here. Um, I left Doug's comment up on Cloudy that entire time. Um, Power with the pun. I'm not gonna read it, man. I won't do it justice, but I'll pull it up on the screen. Trey Mann or Caleb Love? Eesh. I'd go Caleb Love.
Caleb
I
Lowe
don't
for sure.
love it, but yeah. Or Doug brings up Goodwin. I do think that's a good pivot. We're the top value for forwards on FanDuel. This is interesting. Just sorting by value. Um, and I did refresh the model against my better judgment, but we got Harrison Barnes is one, Zachary Ricochet, RJ Barrett, Royce O'Neal, Devin Vassell, Tristan Da Silva. Those are the forwards that are popping up. And yeah, Caleb, taking a ton of shots. Love to see that Jovic. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If we were able to play Johnson, Denny, and Franz in the same lineup, would you? I'd say yes, but at the same time, I'm a little bit concerned about Denny at his price. I already think you're getting pretty different. Um, but yeah, you could go for it, DFS. But yeah, I don't see why not. Again, you just gotta hope Denny can keep things close. Jayhawk, how do you feel about those 3 as like pay ups? Obviously, we don't have the Luca in there, but there's no Giannis on this slate. There's no Joker, so
Yeah, I think Johnson and Franz are definitely the priorities there. I do prefer Scotty Barnes to Denny in their respective matchups at like their prices.
appreciate the comment, Doug. I'll try to talk into my mic again. I just switched back to the headphones. Tyson or Igor with Black and Gillespie? I prefer Tyson. As much as I like Igor, I don't trust the minutes. And yeah, the other 2 look good. We're still waiting, Good. I think Gogo will start. We should have that news any minute now. Um, and they could go to Isaac. I don't think they will. Plumlee. Guys, we have so many centers on the slate. Oh no, he's starting. All right. Well, Sandro first Gogo, then Sandro. Dude, Plumlee's starting over Diabate today.
Wow.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that definitely changes the slate for sure.
I
Um,
mean, the good thing is we have other value at centers. Like, I'd honestly still rather play Diabate ahead of Plumlee, even with Plumlee starting.
yeah, but I think the Sandro conversation now is much closer between him and Diabate.
Oh yeah, definitely. The thing is, and we see this with certain teams, Plumlee could just be out there to take the tip off against the Congo, and then they could go to Diabate. I think Diabate is still going to play more minutes, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the Mason Plumlee game of the year. Usually has one, but I'd rather just not play him and be wrong. Again, we have other value at center. I don't think we have to force it. Goga is starting good. Batadze or Mamu. Batadze first, then Mamu, but I'd rank both ahead of Diabate now. You with me on that, Jayhawk?
Yeah, I think so. I think Diabate is, if we're looking at ownership now, is the most overowned play in the slate, in my opinion. We have him for 31 minutes, but I have to imagine that's going to come down a little bit with him not starting.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Andrew here. Mitchell or Fox? I leave Fox.
Yeah, I'd probably say Fox, just because of the usage rate right now.
Yeah. Let me refresh the news feed here, see what else we got. Bunch of crap from Monday. Daniels, Alexander Walker, Rissa Shea Johnson, Okongwu. No surprises there. No surprises for the Nets. Celtics as expected. Magic as expected. Again, confirming Goga will be starting here, which is obviously good to see. No Robert Williams, which means maybe Doo-Wop Reese gets in there at some point. Again, we have enough other value at center. I'm grateful that we don't have to really worry about him tonight. But yeah, Jayhawk, I know you're jumping in the Discord for just 15 minutes coming up here, but let's go ahead and get these dummy builds going.
Let's do it.
Obviously, start with Goga.
Yeah, go guy. I can't wait to fire him out tonight. We haven't. It seems like we haven't played him in a minute, man. Like for DFS.
Yeah, I know, and he's been playing well off the bench, but a few extra minutes for him could go a really long way. We got Sandro in there.
Let's do it.
I'll sort my ownership quickly. I mean, Jalen Johnson, I definitely want.
Yeah, Jalen, and then Caleb Lowe probably too. He's, I think, one of the best
Yeah,
plays.
if we want to use love for value, I'm cool with it. We have Colin Gillespie, I think makes sense. We also have Sexton. I mean, if let me go Canuple though. He's my guy.
I like
I'll
that.
take
Yeah,
that stand. Use that to get a little different. We still have 8,500 per. So we could go like I don't know. You like Franz, right?
I like Franz. I think Scotty's great. Yeah, one of those two probably.
I'll click Franz just
Or
because I was hovering over it. I mean, we might be able to play both. There you go. So pretty easy to build over on DK. 300 left. I mean, can move some things around. It's pretty easy to get to Luca with Johnson, I think, tonight, though. So keep that in mind. Over on DK, or backwards, over on FanDuel, um, Kongwu, Keldon, and Keldon's someone I probably should have included on DK, but let me
yeah,
just get the first few obvious guys here. Kongwu, Keldon. Throw some names at me.
let's see. Who's on FanDuel that I like? Let's see. We could go. Should we go? Go. I guess Goga's 41. Who's someone different down here? I'm looking
Yeah,
at.
I mean, if we go a little bit more expensive, um,
Should we go Claxton?
I mean, I
No
don't mind
one's.
saying. Yeah, we go Claxton. He
No
was
one's getting
popping
there.
before we had all this value. Yeah, I like it. Um, let's go ahead and get. We used Gillespie on the other side. Maybe a good one for value. He's really cheap. Let's jam in Luca. See
Let's
what
do.
happens here. Since we already have a con move, still 6K per. I didn't get. I did get Keldon in. Um, I mean Bane since we went Wagner on the other side.
I like that a lot.
I think
Yeah.
that makes some sense. We could fit quickly, some correlation with Claxton, and then we got to get a little cheaper. But again, not bad. I mean, I don't know. Barnes looks good in the model. 4,500 is cheap. Don't feel great about it, but I think this is close.
Yeah. There's
Let's
so
say
many. There's so
something
many.
like this.
Sorry. There's so many good center plays tonight, man. That it's like I don't even know. I think it's definitely double center 9 DK.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I usually am double center even on slates that aren't half as good at center, but DK for sure today. That's where
Yeah.
the best value sits. Luke saying Plumlee about to nuke the slate. God, I hope not. Would you play Mutanze and Isaac in the same lineup? Mike, I'm just not playing Isaac, honestly. I just don't know that he has a ceiling above 20 fantasy points.
Yeah,
What's the deal with Filipowski? Jerry Seinfeld voice here from Doug Geely. What is the deal with Filipowski? First guy off the bench, I think. I mean, if you want to mix him in as value, probably a pivot off someone like Barnes, who I pulled up here, or Silva. He's been good. Can you trust him though? I don't know. He's never getting over 30 minutes, so it makes him a little bit risky. But matchup like this, I'm fine with it. Uh, any other thoughts on Filipowski?
yeah, he's fine, but we touched on. I think there's a lot safer. We got a bunch of great value plays. So I'd rather just go to the other guys.
You know, fave magic piece besides Goga, it's probably Franz, then Bane, then Black. How about you, Jayhawk?
Yeah, man. Shockingly, I think all of Orlando looks really good now. I'd probably rank that in that same order.
Yeah, same starters. Sexton or Black for you? That's tough. I think I lean Black, but not by a lot.
Let's see. I think it'd probably be Sexton for me, but let's
Something
look here.
off. Um,
They're
neither
both
are
good.
really hitting the model now. Black's 6'9" OF index. Sexton 6'7". It slightly prefers Black. It's close though. We answered these. You guys feel about only playing 3 or 4 of these games, fading the rest? Yeah, I mean that's a way to kind of narrow things down. I don't ever think about it that way, except on really small slates. You might try to target one game and hope it goes off, and the others struggle. But it's a fine way to go about it. Again, it makes research easier. It makes news breaking easier. There is some correlation upside there. More of a large field kind of strategy. Shouts out Power with the news here. Sandro starting as well.
Let's
So
go.
I do think with Plumlee starting now, I feel pretty good about going Biatadze and Sandro over on DK. I'll probably mix in some Diabate, honestly, if that ownership comes down. But Jayhawk, any other last thoughts or words before we get out of here? I'll let you get in Discord for 15 minutes as we take this right up to lock.
No, very fun slate. Just be kind of cautious on how much Diabate you get. I think he's still in play for sure, but if he stays with this ownership, I definitely something to monitor. But yeah, that's about it.
Yep, right there with you, man. Again, appreciate you guys all being here on a Sunday. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the links in the description below. We have the new lineup builder out right now. If you guys want to check out the channel, there are videos in there kind of showing the new features, all that good stuff. A lot of success already across the sports in the Discord. We're seeing screenshots. So jump on that early and yeah, hit us up Twitter, Discord, all that good stuff. Have a great evening, everyone. Good luck and let's crush it tonight.
Good luck.